I just came back from a trip in Asia, and tonight I'm already flying to the US. And when you're non-stop traveling around the world and living in different locations, doing business in different locations, then you start to realize that the US and that Europe are getting worse and worse every single day, while GCC, Gulf countries here in the Middle East and Asia are developing every single day. And we are living in a new world order, and there's a big power shift, and BRICS is developing, and a lot of people ask us, obviously, what should I do next? What will change in the next years? And you need to understand the change is already happening. BRICS was not there a few years ago. China, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, GCC, all these places were not really developed a few years ago. And right now, you are still tied to the West. So let's start with the first page of our presentation. You need to understand right now, you basically need all of it. It's not a decision. So the clients of us who make most money are still selling to Western countries, to English-speaking markets. They're selling to the US, selling to the UK, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Canada. And for all these markets where people make most of their money, a US LLC is the best option, as I'm always telling you, because you have no accounting, you have Chase, JP Morgan, you have anonymity, and US LLCs are overall just a no-brainer for absolutely everything. But secondly, most clients make a lot of money selling to Europe and also to Asia. And for Europe and for Asia, the best company structure is 100% a Hong Kong Limited. And in step number one, I will explain you why a Hong Kong Limited is the best option. But just for you to understand, I'm always explaining you this wealth consulting pyramid is what you need to achieve at the end of the day. Because it's nice that a US LLC is easy to maintain. A Hong Kong Limited is also not really expensive, and you always need to consider still these are company structures and you need a low tax residency. And you have a lot of low tax residency options all over the world. Even in Asia, most Asian countries have a territorial taxation system. In Singapore, in Thailand with a Thai LTR visa. In Indonesia, you can live tax-free for the first 4 years. In Japan, you can live tax-free for the first 4 years. In Malaysia, they still have a territorial taxation system. But the easiest option is obviously the GCC. You can choose Qatar, you can choose Saudi Arabia, but almost every single entrepreneur, even if they don't know if they want to live their whole life in the UAE, is choosing the UAE to get started, to be a zero tax resident. Because if you are zero tax resident on personal level, means that you are free. You're already out of your matrix. And now you have the two company structures, US and Hong Kong, where you can just cover every single business in this world. So let's take a deep dive into Hong Kong, and let's start with the next page. First, let's take a look at the differences between US and Hong Kong. US is tax-free, but it's a pass-through entity, which means it's only tax-free if you are tax-free. So if you're living in the UAE in best case, it's also what all of our e-commerce tax advisors in the US are recommending. The tax advisors who are specialized on e-commerce recommend that the owner is tax resident in the UAE. And then the taxation is just passing through to the owner, and then the US LLC is tax-free, and under the right circumstances, you don't even have accounting, and it's just flexible. You can do absolutely everything with this US LLC. Cash out crypto, receiving invoices, doing e-commerce. In the US, the biggest market, you have no auditing. You still have anonymity. It's great. That's why a US LLC is overall a no-brainer, but a US LLC works only in the US and in Canada for e-commerce. It also works in Europe, for example, but only if at least 60% of your sales are in the US. So for all people, for all clients who have their main business in Europe or in Asia, there is no other option The only option is Hong Kong. Later on, we will compare Hong Kong with all the other European nonsense options that all the scammers are recommending you. I tried all of it. I opened companies and bank accounts in more than 20 different countries, so I know exactly how it works. Everything that I explain you in this presentation are not just some theories, it's more than 10 years of practical 8-figure entrepreneur experience. So in Hong Kong, you can apply for the offshore tax exemption, which gives you more tax certainty. Because in the US, you are basically just using a loophole as a non-US citizen, non-US resident, but some people don't feel certain because it's not 100% approved. Honestly, you don't need to worry because the liability is on the CPA and he worries about all this. But yes, Hong Kong gives you more tax certainty and you apply every year for the official offshore tax exemption. And in Hong Kong, to apply for the offshore tax exemption, you need accounting, you need auditing, so it takes some effort, and of course it's a little bit more expensive to maintain, but not that much. And as I'm always telling you, you don't need to worry about these things. If I see one comparison between the clients who make a lot of money, who make 8 figures, 9 figures, and the clients who are broke as fuck, is that the big entrepreneurs, they are just doing business and they pay experts, aka us, to worry about banking, payment processing, accounting, incorporation, while broke clients, they spreadsheet everything to death. They make a roadmap for these baby steps instead of actually doing business and just planning too much. So that's why we've built accounting structures in Hong Kong, in the UAE, and in the US. So we have accountants here in all these 3 jurisdictions so that you don't need to worry at all. But just as a summary, Hong Kong a little bit more difficult and expensive to maintain, but overall a great option. Let's go to the next page. So when do you use a US LLC versus a Hong Kong Limited? As I already told you, a US LLC is the best option, especially if you're selling to the US and in Canada, because you have the local bank accounts in the US, you have all the local US payment methods like ACH, like Zelle. I have one business where I receive almost $1 million per month just with Zelle payment, and there's no way around it. And that's why you need local payment methods. So many people every single day come to us and say, hey, I opened a company in the UAE for my e-commerce business, and now I can't offer PayPal, can't offer Klarna, can't offer any payment method in Europe, and my business is basically game over, and we need to fix this. So you always need local payment methods, and you need the best credit card acceptance rates. Everything needs to work perfect, excellent, because there's no value in saving taxes but losing clients, right? That's why we built you the ultimate setup. Hong Kong is better for Europe, for Asia, for Australia, and for New Zealand. And it's really great that it's possible to register for VAT in the UK and for VAT in Europe. And again, you have all the local payment options if you do everything right. Doing it with some cheap online provider, now of course nothing will work. But if you do everything right, step by step, with a wealth consulting blueprint, then you will have all the local payment options and you have your VAT number and so on. So you have Klarna, you have a dedicated PayPal manager. The dedicated PayPal manager works much better in Hong Kong, and it's also just good for diversification. US, Hong Kong are not exchanging data, and these are the 2 best company setups in the world right now. So everything related to Asia and to Europe, Hong Kong is the best structure if you follow our blueprint. Let's go to the next page. So just to summarize, the advantages of a Hong Kong Limited: great reputation, it's not known as a tax haven. All the other options that we will present you today, like Cyprus, Bulgaria, Romania, the Europe tax havens, or even the other tax havens like British Virgin Islands, Belize, it's all nonsense, all nonsense. Banking doesn't work. Payment processing doesn't work. The reputation is absolutely bad. Everybody knows you were incorporating in this place to save taxes. It doesn't make any sense. While if you have a US LLC, if you have a Hong Kong Limited, nobody is thinking that you just incorporated there to save taxes, because people don't even know that these places are tax havens, and this is why it's so great. You have tax stability, no capital gains tax, you can pay yourself dividends. It's an easy, fast setup in under 3 weeks. That's why I always say, if you, for example, don't have anything right now, or you just have your Europe company and now you're moving to the UAE and you need a new operational company for the US, for Europe, start with both. Start with the US to receive simple invoices and to get started with this infrastructure, and start with Hong Kong. And now you're diversified. You don't need to worry about BRICS, wars, New World Order, what is changing, what is happening with tariffs. This is the time where you can get even richer. People are worried and asking me, hey, now the tariffs, these changes, do they impact your business? No, these changes are good for my business. Why? Because I can adapt faster than anybody. While people who still live in their small matrix, in their small bubble, and think, oh no, something changes somewhere at the end of the world, we are ahead of the game because we know every country, every jurisdiction. And that's why it's so great to have all the structures in place so that you don't need to worry about anything at all. Of course, it's easy to pay suppliers in China. You get profit tax returns, audit reports, and certificates, which is great. Number one, if you want to sell your company later on. And number two, it's just great as a proof of payment. You can't even imagine how many wealthy clients nowadays, especially the ones in trading, in crypto, and the ones who want to buy real estate or want to get a big residency or citizenship, they can't get it because they don't have proper proof of funds. And if you have accounting and auditing in place, which is not that difficult because we take care of it, it sounds complicated. But honestly, guys, I have so much companies around the world, I don't even know sometimes the rules and what's going on. Because why? I can't be in every single little detail. My team is taking care of it. And you should do the same. You shouldn't even worry about these details. But we give you the overview one time and we continue with the next page. So, what are the different ways to take money out from your Hong Kong Limited tax-free? Of course, you can pay yourself a salary as a director, but again, you need to pay income tax if you live in a high-tax country. And that's why we tell you, you need to build this holistic system, because if you're living in the UAE, for example, you have no income tax and then you can pay yourself salary. You can pay yourself dividends, but only if you're dividend tax-free, like me, living in the UAE, and you should do the same. You can take a loan, you can invest in your new companies, you can reinvest, all this is possible. And you do basically whatever you want if you have the right setup. Either you pay yourself, invest in personal assets, reinvest in new companies. This is my mindset for more than 5 years now, because once you left the matrix, once you have a good structure, you don't need to worry, you don't need to explain much to a government which is against you, because as you see, we only operate in jurisdictions, in countries with governments which are pro-business, which want that you succeed, because these jurisdictions are reliant on you doing business and becoming successful. The UAE, Hong Kong, Singapore, a place like Shenzhen, these are small places which don't have a lot of resources. These places are reliant on financial trust. These places are reliant on people doing business. And now look what's happening in Dubai in the last 10 years. Look at Hong Kong. Look at Shenzhen. If you follow the Western media, they portray Shenzhen, for example, which is 20 kilometers from Hong Kong, as some bad place, as some dystopia. But then when you actually research or go there, you realize this place is already 300 years ahead of Western countries. And that's why you need to be exactly in this jurisdiction. So let's continue. How do you open a Hong Kong Limited? It's really easy, really fast, because we take care of it, in best case, if you do it with us, because you don't need to fly there. Everything is absolutely remote. The company setup only takes 1 week. We ask you for a few documents. Then we need around 2 weeks for the banking setup. First, just with FinTech bank accounts that I will cover later on, but you can also get local bank accounts easily. Then it takes 2 weeks for the payment processing setup, And it's also great that you can set up the company with multiple business partners. As I always recommend, a US LLC works faster, more easy with a single owner LLC. And if you have multiple business partners, it makes more sense to own the US LLC still as a single owner US LLC, just with a Dubai holding, UAE holding, or a Hong Kong holding, while in Hong Kong it doesn't really matter. It can be with multiple business partners, but you need to pay attention with nominee directors. Too many people come to us and say, hey, I incorporated in Hong Kong with a nominee director, and after some time, this nominee director scammed me, took the money, and I had no control over the company. It's the same with US signers in the US. So you only need to trust the right people, and that's why people work with us, because they really trust us. But this is why you really need to pay attention. Don't get scammed with some wrong nominee directors that you don't even know. And I don't even understand how this mindset works of people. How can you trust some random nominee director, which has power over your company in Hong Kong, that you don't even know, with some random company that you don't even know? Doesn't make sense at all. Just because people want to save $2,000, $3,000 in the beginning, but then later on they get scammed for $1 million. No value in it. Let's continue. Let's talk about FinTech banking for Hong Kong Limiteds. Which FinTech banking options do you have? You have Pioneer, you have Wise, you have Currency, you have Aspire, you have Status, and you have Airwallex. And yes, we always tell you it's much better to have local bank accounts if you make a lot of money. If you're just getting started, FinTech banking options are much easier because you don't have a minimum balance. It's easy to manage these bank accounts worldwide. And FinTech bank accounts are only bad if you're a slave in the matrix, if you're just a regular retail client in an online chat. But if you know the CEOs, the owners of these FinTech bank accounts, if you have a dedicated manager, which is also included in private processing. So just saying, if you have a dedicated manager in Airwallex, if you know the CEOs, then Airwallex is absolutely great to receive payments all over the world with your Hong Kong Limited. So let's talk about payment processing for Hong Kong Limiteds. Which payment processing options do you have? You obviously have Shopify payments. Most clients are getting started with Shopify payments, which is connected to Stripe, which means you obviously have the risk that all of a sudden they hold your money, but it also has some advantages. You can receive money all over the world in different currencies, a lot of great integrations. Good to get started, but important to build a backup later on. Then we have checkout.com, we have Ocean Payment, we have Verifone. Then we have obviously PayPal with a dedicated manager, which is already reason enough to incorporate in Hong Kong. And then you have Airwallex, which is absolutely amazing to receive payments all over the world. And you can use Airwallex with your US LLC, you can use Airwallex with your Hong Kong Limited. It's a great all-rounder and especially great with PayPal, with Airwallex, if you have people like us who know them in person so that you can become a VIP client. But what's even better is obviously private processing. Because even if you have the best FinTech bank account, the best payment processing option, on a certain level, every single successful entrepreneur wastes sooner or earlier 50% of his time with payment processing applications, with accounting, with banking. My money is on hold there. And sooner or earlier, I call it death by 1,000 cuts. And you will face this issue as a successful entrepreneur. In the beginning, you have a lot of time. And this was still nice when I was younger and I was just standing up and I needed to write down, okay, today I will do this, today I will do this, this is my focus for today. Sooner or earlier, when you're successful, you wake up and you get bombarded with to-dos and you need to make a decision, okay, this is something I can't do even more. So now your new strength has to be to say no, 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 no. No time for this, no time for this, no time for this. Because these operations can suck you in and you're not even able anymore to think about the long-term vision and to work on the business because you get sucked in the business and many times not even in good tasks, because I'm every single day making a list and I'm looking at what will I do today, and is it a high income decision, a high income activity which can potentially bring me 10 million, 100 million more in the long run, can make me a billionaire in the long run. But if I have a to-do list with many small things, I make 6 hours accounting today, I make 5 hours payment processing applications, I will discuss with Revolut because they need documents from me. No high-level entrepreneurs doing this. And that's why we started with private processing, because first you get your payment processing with their own MIT, so you don't need to worry that all of a sudden something happens to you. Stripe is asking questions, Wise is asking questions, they're holding my money. If I send $50,000, I need to worry that they block my account. But if you have real private processing, if you have Chase JP Morgan, if you have UOB, DBS, HSBC in Hong Kong, you can send 500,000. You don't need to worry. Just today I received from one client 12 million in one wire. I don't need to worry about this. I'm not thinking they will ask me some question. It's not possible. It's not possible. If you worry with your small little money and people coming to us and saying, hey, this month I will scale from 50K to 300K. Of course they will block my account. It's too crazy. And I'm thinking, bro, we have people who make 20 million per month and you think 300K is too crazy. No, you're just in the wrong matrix. You don't have the right systems in place. And it's a must to take care of it right now. So with private processing, you have your own MID, you have your own dedicated payment processing manager, and we just handle everything for you. We handle the documents, we handle your business plan, we communicate with the bank and with the payment processors, so you don't have headaches, you have fast payouts, and you can easily scale and make millions per month. And instead of worrying about all the small details, you can just scale your business and focus on the long-term vision. Now, let's go into the details. How do you register your Hong Kong company for VAT in Europe? And again, little disclaimer, number one, this here is no tax advice at all. And number two, for high-level entrepreneurs, it's anyways waste of time because you don't need to do these things, but I just want to give you the perspective to understand, yes, you can register for VAT in Europe. You can register for VAT in the UK. You don't need all this low-level Cyprus, Bulgaria, Romania, Estonia, Europe companies in most cases. And that's why I'm explaining you this. So, for the European Union, you can use IOSS, and for the UK, you need to register separately. Let's take a deep look into IOSS. It's basically just a system that simplifies VAT handling in Europe by allowing you to manage it through a single centralized platform without the need to register in each individual European Union country. This is important for you to understand. We are talking about one union. We are talking about one currency. So if you have one company structure which can serve all of this, you don't need a company in every single country. And that's how it works. So how do you register for VAT in Europe via IOSS? You just find an intermediary which is European Union based, because you are a non-European company. You must appoint an intermediary, and this is better for you to be a non-European Union company. Why? Number one, you have less liability, obviously. A lot of clients, and me in my past, I suffered a lot because in Germany we have something, it's called Abmahnung, which basically means your competitors send you a lawsuit for some random nonsense to get money and to destroy you. And it's so easy for these competitors to destroy you. You are in the same country, they just call their lawyer, pay the lawyer 500 euro, send you this letter, and you are angry, you know? Because it doesn't matter how much money you make in Europe, people are still angry and like, you know, your neighbor wants to destroy you, your competitors want to destroy you, your European wife wants to destroy you, everybody wants to destroy you. And, you know, it's still even better to be with a scooter in Asia than with all this wealth in Europe when everybody just wants to destroy you. And that's why it's better to not even have your company in Europe so that they can't destroy you, because now they need to make a lawsuit against the company in Hong Kong. It's not as easy. It's not as easy. So you have a lot of liability protection, which is great, and it's easy to reduce your VAT, maybe to 11%, maybe to 9%, maybe even lower with transfer pricing, which I will not cover later on. But yes, it is possible to pay extremely low taxes doing business in Europe. So step number 2 is to submit your documents to the intermediary, just all your company documents basically. But again, if you have a right partner, they just do it for you and you don't even need to worry. It's always the same company documents. And then we have step number 3, which is your intermediary applies for your IOSS number and they handle the communication with the European tax authorities. You don't want to do the communication with the tax authorities. It will nothing but suck out your energy and suck out your soul. And then we have step number 4, which is you receive your IOSS number. It's usually within 1 or 2 weeks. And then you must display this number, and then that's it. And then you have a Hong Kong Limited, which is perfect for business in Europe. And you see, you don't even need a structure in Europe. So, very easy, very fast. Let's go to the next step. And then you file monthly IOSS reports via your intermediary. As you probably know, Europe is the worst place overall for bureaucracy. You need to file something every single month, but you're not in the liability and you're still half out of the system, but you're taking all the money out of the system. Because even if you are in this belief system that Europe and the US, but especially Europe, are game over, yes, it's not a nice place to live anymore, but you can still take a lot of money out of the system. A lot of money. You can still use this system. The same like the US system. You don't need to be there. The same like Hong Kong. You don't need to be in Hong Kong to make a lot of money with your Hong Kong Limited. I know people who made 200 million with the Hong Kong Limited and they never visited Hong Kong. For what? This is the mindset. Instead of spreadsheeting everything to death. But yes, how do you register for VAT in the UK? Same steps. You create a UK government gateway account. In the UK, everything is more streamlined. Also when it comes to commercial register extracts and so on. That's why it's not anonymous. It's extremely transparent in the UK, but very streamlined. Step number 2, you apply for the UK VAT via HMRC. And you need, again, just your company documents and you need a VAT agent, or you can apply by yourself. But I always recommend to not do anything of this nonsense by yourself as an entrepreneur. It's a waste of time. Step number 3, you receive your UK VAT number. It takes 2 to 4 weeks if all your documents are properly in place. And step number 4 is you start collecting the VAT. You need to pay attention because there are a lot of providers and local tax advisors who always tell you, yeah, you need to pay VAT, you need to pay this in Europe. The same in the US with the US LLC, yeah, you need to pay state tax everywhere. And many times people are overpaying crazy because they are listening to these unqualified tax advisors who are trained by their government to keep you enslaved, to keep you in their matrix. Oh, you have your UK Limited. No, you can't move to Dubai. It's not possible. Oh no, you can't switch to a US LLC, Hong Kong Limited. The government will crush you. It's your right to do it. The government can't do anything. Of course, the government knows exactly that you don't want to live in a gray, depressed country which hates entrepreneurs, and that sooner or earlier you will move to GCC countries, and sooner or earlier you will transfer your business to your SLLCs and Hong Kong Limited. Of course they keep you enslaved. Why did they start this exit taxes? To keep you enslaved. And these tax advisors are trained by them. This is no tax advice at all. And you need to speak with a tax advisor, but choose the right ones. That's why we build proper qualified tax advisors in these jurisdictions. So our US advisor understands UAE. Our Hong Kong tax advisor understands the UAE and understands the US and understands how to connect all these dots. Because only if you connect all these dots, you have a proper structure. And that's why I'm always telling you, we from Wealth Consulting are only interested in taking care of everything for you. From company structures, to banking, to payment processing, to investments, to accounting, so that you don't need to worry about anything in your business about these systems. Let's continue. Step number 5 is to file quarterly UK VAT tax returns, even if no sales occurred, of course, but again, you don't need to worry about this. We take care of it. So what's the difference between a Hong Kong Limited and, for example, a UK LLP and a Cyprus Limited for e-commerce in Europe? A Hong Kong Limited has no taxes besides VAT if you apply for the VAT, no matter where you sell in Europe, and it makes it more easy to reduce VAT. And you have much better banking and payment processing option. Yes, again, you have Klarna, you have Ideal, you have a dedicated PayPal manager. So nothing is lacking if you do it right, but these payment processors are much more open to e-commerce, more open to drop shipping. So if you talk to regular banks and payment processing companies, they will tell you that doing drop shipping, for example, doesn't work really good with European companies because they are not specialized on it. They don't understand it. They still live 200 years ago and they are more worried about other problems. While China, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, bam, bam, bam. This is what they're fully focused on. Shipping products, sending products, drop shipping, e-commerce. So it works absolutely perfect. It's the place to be. And if you've never visited, for example, Shenzhen or Hong Kong, visit this place. You will directly understand why it's so great. In Hong Kong, you meet e-commerce entrepreneurs who make 500 million. It's the whole jurisdiction is specialized on e-commerce. And Cyprus is specialized on nothing, on nonsense, on some Europeans who think it's the best place to save taxes because some guy recommended it to them. Disadvantage, you need an intermediary to register for IOSS, but I personally see it even as an advantage because of reduced liability. Let's take a look at these European options. And yes, you have more options in Europe. In the past, I had also a company in Estonia, a company in Romania, a company in Bulgaria. And all these companies are not really good. Why? For example, with UK LLP or UK Limited, you still pay tax. UK LLP can be in theory tax-free because it's also pass-through entity, but it doesn't work at all anymore. So you can only use a UK Limited, and there you still need to pay taxes, especially if you sell to UK clients and you have accounting. And again, your options are limited. It's not the worst setup in the world with UK, still better than Cyprus, better than Romania, Bulgaria, Estonia, and it's an easy setup, but it's definitely not the long-term vision. With a Cyprus Limited, you can register directly for VAT. Of course, when it comes to registering for taxes, everything is easy in Europe. When it comes to actually making money, it's not easy. You have no good banking options, especially in the UK if you're not from the UK. And with Cyprus, for example, there's nothing. Not even Wise works properly. And which other options do you have? Bank of Cyprus, which was blacklisted or is still grey listed because everybody knows Cyprus is a tax haven. Which banking option do you have in Bulgaria? Which banking option do you have in Romania? Which banking option do you have in Estonia and all these European structures? Nothing, basically. And that's why I don't like structures in this European tax haven, which are not even a haven. And payment processing, nothing works really, and that's why it doesn't make sense. And that's why the Hong Kong route is the only option to go. If you need something fast as a non-UK citizen, non-UK resident, you can set up a company in UK to receive a few payments, but nothing else. But for big business, US and Hong Kong, no way around it. So, how do you do accounting and auditing for your Hong Kong Limited? This was something which was holding me back again because I was like a burnt child, right? I grew up in Germany, made good money there, then the tax office hit me, punished me, I need to pay a lot of taxes. And once I got out of this matrix, out of this slavery, I felt like I just never in my life want to do accounting and auditing again. I just want to be free. I want to do with my money whatever I want because my money is my money and I will not support this high tax governments who then support wars and death and propaganda. And for me, I thought accounting and auditing is all connected to this and I just wanted to be happy and free. But if you make high-level business, you anyways need accounting. You know, you can't run a 20 million, 50 million, $200 million company and not have any accounting in place. It doesn't make any sense. So in the beginning, when you make 10K, 100K, 200K per month, you have like 2, 3, 4 employees, it doesn't matter. Just take the money, use it as a cash cow, whatever you want. But if a business is big enough, you need accounting anyways. And nowadays, I have accounting for all my companies around the world. And it's something you don't need to worry about, accounting and auditing for your Hong Kong Limited, because it's easy. You just pay the accounting team a few $100 or a few $1,000 if you make a lot of revenue, and they take care of everything. And even auditing, it takes like 1 day. It's done 1 time per year by an external auditor. You pay them 1 time, and that's it. We have a team in Hong Kong. They are experienced with the top 4 accounting companies, so it's really nothing to worry about. Very easy, very fast. Then let's talk about the offshore tax exemption. Offshore tax exemption, let me give you a quick example of the US and a quick example of Hong Kong. In the US, as I'm always telling you, if you don't have employees in the US, you don't have fulfillment in the US, you're not living in the US, you're not personally tax resident in the US, it's easy to be tax-free. And if you have employees, there are other ways around it. And with Hong Kong, it's basically the same, just that you need to apply for this tax exemption. And they're really simple. You use the Hong Kong Limited to make business in Europe and in Asia, but not in Hong Kong. And that's it, basically. Then you're tax exempted. Because if you don't have employees in Hong Kong, you don't have customers there, you don't have a warehouse there, and you don't have a physical setup like office, apartment there, and no meetings in Hong Kong, then you are tax exempted. And I don't know many people who crazy want to sell to this small Hong Kong market, or who really want to have their physical office or their apartment in Hong Kong, because it's the most expensive real estate market in the world, more expensive than New York, more expensive than Geneva, more expensive than every real estate market in the world. That's why nobody wants to have a headquarter in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is just good to incorporate, to have your company, but you need to avoid substance, and it's easy to avoid substance there. And then you're fully tax exempted. But if you want to hire employees there, or if you want to hire US employees, I mean, I always recommend anyways to build a separate structure to hire employees, to pay, for example, suppliers. Then you have more flexibility. So just summarize, it's really easy to be fully 100% tax exempted in Hong Kong. And it's not a gray zone, it's not some guessing. You make accounting and auditing, and you are 100% officially tax exempted, and you have accountants who worry of it, who take care of it, and you have the full peace of mind with this setup. And I think this is already the end of the video. I hope this little summary could help you about the Hong Kong structure. So just to summarize, US LLC for US and Canada business, Hong Kong Limited for doing business in Asia and in Europe, and then you have your UAE company to do business in the Middle East and to give yourself a zero tax residency, and then you have the full wealth consulting pyramid with ultimate payment processing and banking to receive payments all over the world, to do business all over the world, and you are perfect to go, and this is what you need. So I hope this video could help you, and if you want to learn more about how we can help you to grow and protect your wealth, then just go to wealthconsulting.com, book a call with us. You can also download the brochure on wealthconsulting.com, and I would say see you in the call, see you in the next video, or see you in real life.